Hey, Peri Posse. This is Terah Harrison, licensed professional counselor, and I'm here with Jennifer McKinney. You might remember her because we recently did an interview on coaching for perimenopause and menopause. And we have decided to do something super cool. We're going to do a series on what this coaching looks like. I get to be the client, and Jennifer is going to take over, and we're going to do the coaching sessions
Yep.
4 total. So it'll be a series of 4 starting with today. So Jennifer, I'll let you take over and I get to sit back and be the client.
So to explain a little bit about where we are in the process, so Tara and I have already been communicating. Tara has filled out our big intake packet. I have a lot of questions when I start with a new client, and those questions help me get to know my clients. They help me get to know clients' goals. They help me get to know where a client is physically, mentally, with their diet. So Tara has done all of her homework and filled that out. And right now we are in our kickoff session. So this session will be more about us getting to know each other, me trying to understand how I can best support you, Tara, and really trying to figure out our set of goals and what we're looking to do in coaching. So I typically start off these sessions by just saying, share your goals with me. I know we communicated via that intake form about what your goals are, but if you're thinking of perimenopause and you're thinking of fitness, nutrition, anything lifestyle related, what are some of the overarching goals that you have that either you're hoping to work on through coaching or that you just have in general in your life?
Okay. So health goals is, of course, I'm cognizant of the bone mass. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things to keep my bone mass good. So to take care of my bone mass and really understand the nutrition behind that too, knowing the right fitness thing to be doing for bone mass and also the right nutrition for that. And then also nutrition and lifestyle and fitness directed at reducing symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. Like I told you on the intake that I filled out, that I'm having brain fog, and but I am doing hormone replacement therapy. So what kind of nutrition might optimize that? What kind of lifestyle might optimize that? Of course, it doesn't make you feel perfect. I'm still dealing
Sure.
with symptoms and trying to get the hormones right and things like that. Really, it's just general overall, how can I tweak my current lifestyle and nutrition and fitness routines to optimize my health, and also really just being able to do this coaching to be able to take time to focus on myself. And I think we talked about this a little bit in our podcast too. This can be an awakening for a lot of women, as it is for me, realizing
Yep.
how much of myself I've just poured into other people, especially my family, and how I haven't been pouring into myself. So it's a great avenue to just focus on me too.
I love that. I think specifically that last part, I think is really important. And just reading through that intake form again, it sounds like you have some good self care routine set up and you have some good boundaries around your family, which I think is really wonderful. You mentioned that you are on the elliptical for about an hour every day and that you do that for your mental health and that you lock the door and people don't bother you. I have to say that's like a huge step that takes I work with people who are like, I want to get there. Like, how do I get there?
Jennifer, it's new. And one of my girlfriends, I was texting with her. I was like, "Why do they keep coming in?" She's like, "Why don't you lock your door?" I'm like,
I
"Oh,
didn't know.
you don't even think about it." But yeah, thank you. And I've only been doing that for 2 months, maybe a month. It's not really been
Okay.
that long. So people still knock on my door and people still wiggle my door knob, and but yeah.
Yes, yes. And I think that's a challenge too with where we are as a society. Like you mentioned, you have a child home from school this week because most of us live in an area that has all the children home from school. So occasionally my husband and I work from home together and we have a daughter who's home with us with a nanny. And so there are a lot of people in your home and to be going through that with perimenopause and with whatever else you have going on in your life tends to be a lot and it can be really overstimulating as well, which can be harmful for like even people who have hot flashes. I've heard people say being overstimulated will give me a hot flash, which is wild, but it totally makes sense. And we have a lot of extra stimuli placed on us. Is that something that you feel like you have under control? I know you've done a lot of work with that, but is there anything else that you have a goal of changing to reduce that stimuli or to deal with it in a different way?
Okay. Given that not being able to change anyway, I love it, but not yes. So what you're bringing up about having everyone in the house, I live that as well. My husband and I both also work from home, and then of course summer's coming up and our daughter will be home then, and so she'll be working from home too. And that does get to be a lot. We have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. We have 2 big dogs. We have a hamster. We've got like the whole thing going on, all the noise. And so I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything I could even really tweak with that because that would be the author Mindy Peltz. She wrote the book Age Like a Girl, and she talks about how she got to go move out and live somewhere else for 6 weeks. And I love the woman, but like she's talking about things that most women can't do. Oh, this other
Yes.
woman moved to Australia. Okay, great. Okay, so I just had to complain about that, but
Yes.
given the reality of the situation, I'm trying to think of what else I might be able to tweak. I know, like, for instance, before bed, you're not supposed to watch TV and things like that. But my hard thing about that is that's one of the rituals of connection between my husband and I is
Mhm.
that we lay down on the couch and we now I will say that I have tweaked it to where like we'll watch 30 minutes of something that we're both enjoying. And then I'll be like, okay, now it's time to turn the volume down and put the documentary on that you like and I think is boring. And I will close my eyes and pretend it's like a podcast. So that's like how I do that. And we're still hanging out. I fall asleep on the couch. And then I get up and I'm relaxed and I go get in bed and go to sleep and everything. But so that's how I've tweaked that. I used to be able to stay awake and we'd watch rousing things for the whole time, but now I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah,
And you
I
don't
don't
have to.
know. Yeah, I don't know if there's really anything else. I think that everybody in my house has been really accommodating and thoughtful, and so I'm really grateful, hashtag blessed, but I'm really grateful for that because I don't have little kids. My daughter's 12, and so she wants her alone time and quiet time now too, and it's sad the way that she's pulling away and doing her own thing now, and I miss her being little, but also the timing couldn't be better for me.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's really that's really nice, and also I'm grieving. But yeah,
Yeah.
so in that area, I don't think I could change anything else really.
Perfect. Okay. And I love your idea. I'm so glad that we're recording this and other people can benefit from this because that's such a great idea to like pretend you're listening to a podcast and close your eyes and and I think what you mentioned about your daughter too, I think this is a fairly common time for most parents where they do have children who are going into adolescence at that same time, and that can be really challenging, but it's a marker of menopause as well, right? Where you're grieving a little bit in a certain way, but it's
A lot of
also
things.
good timing as well, where you're like, okay, there's a silver lining to this or like a bright side to this. Okay, so we talked about lifestyle a little bit. Do want to touch on brain fog, which you mentioned, but I will come back to that at the end because I think that we should spend more time talking about the nutrition and the fitness piece. So let's start with fitness. So you mentioned that you work with a trainer. You mentioned that you are thinking of 15 minutes of adding that in. I love that you do yin yoga. I have a very special place in my heart for yin yoga. So
It's so much.
it is so wonderful.
Yeah.
So I love that you already have a great practice of getting cardio in. And I think my small little personal philosophy is that yes, steady state cardio is not super effective for weight loss for perimenopausal or menopausal women. We know that, but it can be very helpful mentally for a lot of women. And so I love that you understand that and that you are still doing that thing that is good for your heart and your mind, even if it's not going to lead to weight loss or increased strength or anything like that. I think sometimes women struggle with the idea of this. I really like to run, but I know that running is going to be not as effective for me as weightlifting. So I have to give up the thing that I love in order to train the right way. And you don't have to do that. So I love that you are non-negotiable on the things that are working for you. That is awesome. I'd love to talk through what you have an opening for in strength and what you're hoping to kind of get from workouts from me, knowing that you already work with a trainer.
Okay, yeah. So I have a home gym. I don't go to the gym.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
that. So maybe maximizing home gym actually is a good thing we can focus on. So I have an elliptical here which I bought in 2020 in March of 2020. I think it saved my mental health for the pandemic cuz that was a big investment at the time, but I'm so glad I made it. So I have the elliptical machine and I have some free weights and I have like bands and I think I have some ankle weights that I've never used. But yeah, and I have an exercise ball. Let me tell you what I use. I use my free weights and I use my elliptical machine. So, maybe even getting a little more creative so that I don't get so bored with it. I usually
Totally.
what I do is I'll just go on YouTube and find videos. You last time had given me a link to a pogo video, which I
Mhm.
haven't done yet. I will say I think this is part of just also being autistic is I like to do the same thing over and over again, but I know my body
Okay.
needs different to be able to build that muscle. Like I know what my nervous
Yeah.
system likes, but my body to build muscle is going to need something different. So I do get resistance to trying something new, but I know that if somebody is expecting me to, then my people pleasing kicks in. And I'll be like, I'm seeing Jennifer, so I need to have done so. So I think that will help just having the motivation of you being like, okay, we're trying a different type of weights workout, or did you do the straps workout that we talked about,
Right.
or whatever. So I think that will help me to try to diversify my home workout so that maybe I have maybe 5 different things on rotation rather than 1 or 2 different things. Like right now I do the same 10-minute Pilates video with Boho Beautiful, which I love her, and this other weight ones with this person named Burpee Girl on YouTube. And I do those 2 and that's what I do.
I love it. Okay. So tell me about the weights that you have. Like what are the weights of the weights and how many do you have of each?
I have 3-pound, 5-pound, and I just ordered some 10-pound, and I have 2
Okay.
of each of those. And then
Perfect.
my husband has, I think, 2 15-pounds that I could
Okay.
access. So I think that's what we have. He might even have more. I'll have to go in and look what he has because he has the ones that don't like I have these nice comfy ones. He's got
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ones that are like not padded. I'm like, ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. That's great. That's a good setup. And you said 15 minutes is how much time you kind of want to dedicate. And remind me of how many days a week you would want planning for. Do you think four? Do you think fewer, more?
So I do the training once a week if time allows. So probably I'm doing it 3 times a week right now, or adding the doing the weights 3 times a week. So maybe planning for 3 so that I could try to increase it to 4 would probably be good just to have a goal that I'm heading towards of doing something more.
And I'll include some weights and some bands as well.
And I
Okay,
do have to
perfect.
watch a video. If you give me something and you tell me to do 5 of this and 3 of that, I have to see it because I can't visualize what something's gonna look like unless I see it.
And so I offer two different things for my fitness training. So I either offer, there's an app called Everfit, and I'll plan out your workouts in Everfit. And there are video examples that go along. So there will be instructions that say do 3 sets of 10, and then there will be a video of
Okay.
that exercise.
Ok
Does that work for you, you think? Or do you need like the video of let's do 3 sets of 10 together?
I'd rather do 3 sets of 10 together. That's just what
Okay.
I'm used to. I
Okay.
could try the app, but I haven't really been successful with those things before.
Okay. Okay. Let me think creatively on this. So transparently from like a coaching perspective, recording those videos would take a really long time for me to do that for every single
Oh,
one
oh,
of my
no.
clients. Yeah. Yep. And I can do a creative thing for you because I have clients who are very similar. I have a lot of clients who use Peloton. And so Peloton has great strength workouts. And so I'll oftentimes program like a few Peloton workouts for some of my clients who are like, I just want to watch a video. Can you tell me to watch a video and we can talk about like the weights that I should use? 3 workouts using weights and bands, about 15 minutes. And we want to optimize bone mineral density, and we want to try to help with kind of brain fog and perimenopausal symptoms. Those are our
Yes.
overarching goals. Cool. All right. Got that down. Let's talk about nutrition now.
Okay.
So you follow a very specific diet. What are you hoping for? I know we talked about in the beginning of this and in your intake form, kind of optimizing your current diet for perimenopause and possibly increasing your protein intake. Are there other goals that you have?
Maybe also trying to increase the variety. I know that's hard with the things that I have to avoid, but yeah, I'm really big on the gut biome and the higher variety of fruits and vegetables you're eating, the better your gut biome and all of that. I do stick with the same foods too, like every meal and things like that. So also finding ways to try other things that might be similar. For instance, like I love chard. Maybe I could try mustard greens instead, or like, like some challenges. So try something that's just a little bit different.
I actually love that idea of a challenge. I think setting a goal to maybe, what do you think about trying 2 to 3 different things a week? Like replace it, or do you want to start with one? We could also start with one,
I think 2 is good. 2 sounds
two.
good.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we'll make that one of our nutrition goals, is just to replace or just try something similar.
Yeah, I know my daughter would do that as well because she likes to try new things too. I wouldn't be alone in trying things, so she'll
I
be
love
good too.
that. That's great. That's nice when your family is supportive and is in it with you.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So I love that. Let's talk about, do you track your calories now? Are you doing a food journal at all? Okay. How do you feel about doing one?
I don't I'm not really big on doing that because I had an eating disorder,
Okay.
and so I if you tell me to start restricting, I'm gonna go all into that one. So I don't wanna do that. I've yeah. So for that reason, that's not I really wanna
Totally.
just add rather than take away or be thinking about portions or
Yes.
calories.
The food journaling is not always about, I always think of it as data, but it can be very, you're right. It can be very triggering for people to see some of the data. I think the reason I was asking is because I was wondering if you know how much protein, how many grams of protein you're getting each day. And it's hard to know that if you're
Mm.
not tracking, but we don't have to track. We can just roughly talk about, it sounds like you are pretty consistent with what you eat. So it sounds like you would be able to tell me. I think you said you eat a lot of fish and in each of those meals. So we can figure out roughly the protein. Do you feel like you need to eat more protein because you've heard that you need to eat more protein, or because of how you're feeling?
Mainly because I've heard that I need to eat more protein. Like my
Okay.
primary care physician was like, "You need to eat 90 grams of protein a day," and I'm like, "Whoa!" So I don't really know what exactly is true for me, and I know that it also depends on how much you weigh and things like that. But that's what I was told, and I know I don't. I definitely don't eat that much. But for instance, I've tried plant protein for shakes and stuff like that, and they
Yeah.
always give me a histamine reaction. So I can't do that. I can't do collagen, anything that has histidine in it. So I really have to just get protein from whole sources. I can't like add it in a easier manner as would be nice.
Yeah.
Like the protein in the
I
coffee. Actually, I drink black tea, but whatever.
do you know roughly the portions of fish that you're eating each day?
Yeah, I get my fish frozen. And so I'll just have and it's already portioned out, so it'll be like I rotate salmon, cod, barramundi, trout, and I'll have 1 portion for a meal,
Okay, perfect.
and that'll be for lunch and dinner, and then I
Perfect.
have for snack, I will have because I don't really eat breakfast. I just am not hungry in the morning. But so I'll have a snack around 4 or something, and I'll have organic nitrate free lunch meat on rice cakes. And so that's probably about, I don't know, I'll have to look and see what 3 slices is, but it's probably like 10 grams of protein or something like that. So I guess it's getting like maybe 60 grams of protein a day, something like that.
Okay. And you avoid dairy. Okay. Let me think through some ways to add in protein in kind of the way that you're eating too, so it doesn't sound I think protein is a struggle. I do like women to eat more protein if they can, but when you have a restricted diet, like I work with a lot of vegetarians and vegans as well,
Mm,
and that becomes really challenging because oftentimes the only way to get protein in a diet that is especially strictly vegan is a protein powder and tofu, and not the only source of protein, but the way to get the most protein. And no one wants to eat like 3 things of tofu a day. No one.
gross. Yeah.
It can become challenging to get really high percentages of protein into your diet when you have a restricted diet, which is okay. It is okay. It sounds like you are eating from what you told me on the intake form, it sounds like you're eating really healthy whole food meals. And if you're feeling okay, I think we can make it a goal to add in a little bit more protein, but I don't think that we need to say, okay, you're going to double your fish intake for every meal, and I'm going to need you to eat 2 snacks of lunch meat every day. We don't need to do that.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'll think of some creative ways for you to add a little bit of extra protein in throughout the day.
Okay. I do wanna tell you that I don't do very well with nuts either, so just so you
Okay.
know, because they do increase histamine, but I can sometimes snack on pumpkin seeds, and that doesn't seem to bother me. So that's something I try to remember to add, and I always forget pumpkin seeds because 'cause they're also good for zinc but I just forget them. They're right there.
Okay. Any other thoughts on nutrition? Anything else we want to cover before we move on?
I don't think so. I feel like I'm pretty good on fiber. I do eat a lot of avocado. That's pretty good. But
Okay.
and I don't
Perfect.
mind as far as tracking, I don't wanna track calories, but if we're trying to track, like, protein or something like that's not calorie related, I'm fine with writing those things down.
Okay. I want to respect that because I know that if you look at that tool as not just data gathering, if there's like emotion behind it, it's not something that I think you need to do. And I think that we can use rough numbers for protein, and that should be just fine.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. Okay, so next is talking about lifestyle. So you mentioned the brain fog as your number one symptom of this is really bothering me. I'd like to figure out how to deal with it. Is there anything else? I guess we talked about this at the beginning, but in terms of lifestyle, everything outside of fitness and nutrition, anything else you want to be focusing on?
Always being able to set clear, direct boundaries and expectations is a helpful thing to work on as being a recovering people pleaser that I am. So that's been a work in progress for me. So that's lifestyle.
Perfect.
Yeah, and just finding ways to feed myself and focus on myself is just as important as my relationship with my husband and my daughter and all of that kind of stuff, like I was saying earlier, too.
This lifestyle coaching is like a little bit of a bucket for anything that is not nutrition or fitness related. Sometimes people come to me with like hair loss or hot
Oh,
flashes are
yeah.
really bothering me or brain fog, or sometimes we talk about libido, sometimes we talk about anxiety, sometimes it's sleep hygiene that we focus on. So I tend to think of this as a little bit of a bucket that we use for everything else that is still impactful that isn't included in fitness and nutrition. Sometimes it's not something that we overly focus on, and sometimes it's something that, like, once we get into coaching, that comes up as, "Hey, I'm not sleeping well," or, "Hey, I have this new thing coming up," or, "I'm feeling really anxious lately. Can we talk about that?" And it's also just another, like, bucket of me being able to listen to, of bringing it up and saying, hey, you're talking about boundaries. Do you want to talk about that some more? What's going on that's making you think about boundaries? What are you struggling with? So it can also just be an opportunity for me to just be a listening ear. And I know you already talked about that in the beginning. So that's really what this piece is about. I'll provide goals for you. And especially with brain fog, we'll talk through this, but with other things like hot flashes or sleep hygiene, that stuff, I can provide like a protocol, which is oftentimes helpful. But for the brain fog, have you noticed a difference in brain fog when you've eaten differently or when you said that you've started working out in a different way recently. Have you noticed a difference in your brain fog with any of those changes?
I think the biggest thing that has impacted my brain fog is getting on estrogen. So I started estrogen back in July, and I started at 0.025, and I've just bumped it up. And then I went to 0.037, and now I'm at 0.05 patch. And I'm feeling a lot better with that. And I've
Good.
just started testosterone recently as well. Not for the first time. I've done it here and there, but not been consistent with it. But of course, those two I know are both going to help with the brain fog, and it has helped with the brain immensely. The biggest thing that I struggle with is just forgetting words and not being as fast cognitively as I used to be. And I think that some of that too is also just acceptance and some perfectionism of expecting myself to be as fast as I was in my 20s with thinking, which is probably never going to happen again because my hormones will never be the way they were before. So I think some of that comes into the grief part too, and recognizing that, and also giving myself permission to slow down or for other people to wait for me to figure
Yeah.
out what I'm going to say. And also as a therapist, knowing that my wanting to be able to express myself in a way that helps my clients the best, and not being a perfectionist there too. And knowing that even if I don't use the precise word, feeling word, like they're going to be okay. They're going to get the meaning they need to get out of what I'm saying too. So there's a lot around the brain fog. There's the expectations I have of myself. And then there's also recognizing that there may be things I can do to change that. I don't obviously, I think this makes not profound, but the better I sleep, of course, the better the brain fog
Yes.
is. And getting on the right hormones has really helped with sleep, getting the right amount of progesterone, all of that too. So that's going better. And then I know there are just some days, like when my estrogen is naturally low because it's PMS week, like I'm going to have more brain fog, and there's really not a lot I can do about it. I just have to give myself permission to not be at my best
Right.
and
Yeah.
lower the amount of things that I'm doing, try not to put as much on my plate. And so also part of that just being able to work with the rhythms that I'm in and how they
Yes.
impact me more greatly than they ever have before. So I think all of that is wrapped up in the brain fog.
That's such a great overview of your experience, but also description of the brain fog. So, like, we do know that hormones are immensely helpful for all of these symptoms, brain fog included. I'm so glad that you found some relief with that as well. I think you nailed it with sleep. That was going to be one of my suggestions was everything is tied together. We want to talk about symptoms being really separate and individual, but everything is tied together in perimenopause, right? It all stems from that lack of estrogen, and it's just appearing in different ways in our body. But I really like how you talked about being kind to yourself and following your own natural rhythms, because I think that is so important with perimenopause and going into menopause, knowing that like our bodies are different, our minds are different, like our brain is literally rewiring in perimenopause to deal with the fact that there is less estrogen for those estrogen receptors in our brain. So if you think about kids and how we're really kind and accepting of children because we know that they can't regulate their emotions because their brains aren't fully formed. In perimenopause, our brains
Yeah.
are reforming. Let's be kind to
Yes.
ourselves. I wish we could tell everyone
Right.
else to be kind to us. I wish we could
I
be like,
know.
my brain is reforming. Like it's doing something really big.
Yeah, part of me
Um,
is like a 12-year-old. Come on, people.
I know. Give me a break. I know someone should make a PSA about that.
I know it's like I've seen hats and shirts that say "Be patient with me, I'm autistic," or whatever it is. I think I
Yeah,
need there need to be shirts that say "Be patient with me, I'm perimenopausal."
I agree. I agree. I think that focusing on those things is great. I see where I can be most helpful is by creating some goals around this and being an accountability partner for you with this.
Yeah.
So, knowing that sleep is very helpful for you, is there anything that is there a goal you want to set around sleep? Do you feel like your sleep is good now and that's helping with the brain fog? Is that the right place to focus? What are your thoughts on that?
Sleep, knock on wood, has N has been much better. I went through a period of time at the beginning. 2025 was a really hard year for me medically, and I did go through really bad insomnia, and this was before I got on the estrogen. And since I've been on estrogen, that has been a lot better. There are certain times when it will dip because my estrogen's dipping or I'm ovulating, estrogen is super high. So, but I've been able to pay attention to, and so I guess my goal would just to be to continue to be I'm trying to just be accepting of however it went and continue with the hygiene and not get too anxious about it. But that's probably because I if I don't know how something's gonna go or I'm worried about, oh, because
Yeah.
I feel trauma from from the how bad the beginning of last year was. Like I just am it's like medical PTSD. It's not that dramatic, but it was a really hard time. There were days that I just was barely functioning and just dragging myself out of bed and just trying to do the bare minimum that I could do. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to really just try to stay balanced and be like, "No, Tara, you're okay. You're on the right path now." So to me, it's more a lot of like of self-soothing and having soothing rituals, reading like the dark thing, so the dark light
Yeah.
or whatever. So it doesn't anyway, so I have this by my bed and I'm like, if I can't sleep, I'll just read, like it'll be okay. So that's really where I am on that.
Oh, well, okay. And that kind of brings me into I think that's a great goal. That brings me over to how I can best support you as a coach and where you want support. So, next steps for us will be I will develop a fitness and nutrition plan for you and send those over to you. So that will come via email. Our next check in will be talking about those and how those are going. You can text me anytime during the week if you have questions or you just want to say, hey, I did this workout and I loved it, or I did this workout and I hated it, or sometimes injuries happen and people are like, hey, I injured myself. What should my new plan be? So that's where we're going. But in addition to that, I like to be really supportive of my clients in ways that they need that might be outside of that. I know in our podcast, we talked about some people need help with evening reminders of, hey, put your phone away and turn down the lights and start getting ready for bed. Hey, how did you sleep? Are you ready for a good day? Something like that. How can I best support you knowing that, especially with your lifestyle goal or your goals are more related to be internal, right? They're being kind to yourself. They're figuring out how to set boundaries when you need to, but you have much more internal goals that maybe don't need as much direct support. So how can I help you there?
Maybe And it doesn't have to be a daily check-in, but maybe a check-in where you just ask me something like, "How are you kind to yourself today?" Or "What is a self-care win for you?" Or something like that where I need to then think of what I did for myself, and it'll keep me thinking about doing things for myself. Usually in the morning, I that's when I do my elliptical machine and all of that kind of stuff, and that's usually when I'm able to respond to texts and stuff. Because after that, I'm working and then I'm momming, and if a text in the morning would be
Great. Okay. And then what time range are we talking about?
anywhere between 8 and 10. Let's see, 8 and 10 Central would probably be
Okay.
good.
Excellent. That is great. Okay. Okay. I love that. Self care win. What questions do you have for me?
I don't have any right now. Everything that you've
Okay,
said sounds really good. I'm just open to the process, and I can't think of anything. I might think of something
great.
later and email you a question, but right now I'm just excited to start.
Oh, okay. All right. Me too. Be on the lookout for your fitness and nutrition plan. And then I will see you at the same time next week for our next check in session. But I'll be checking in with you every day. So we'll be chatting.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, Tara. Thank you.